Welcome back to the channel Black is One, a channel dedicated to the unification of all people of African ancestry everywhere. I've been discovering some really interesting things since I've started this channel. One of them is that many of us are unfamiliar with history, or Black history to be specific. Yes, because I'm always following history and historical things, I took it for granted that certain historical events everybody knew. Boy, was I wrong. I feel like a lot of history is out there if people want to know. But that is the problem, because many people don't want to know. And I think I figured out one of the reasons why some people don't want to know about history. And I'm going to use this video to address that issue. For many of these people, history is not important, or they don't see the importance of history. In their minds, history is the past. It has little to do with what is happening now, or little to do with the future. History to them is water under the bridge. So for them to study history or to search out historical events is seen as backward looking, backward thinking, crying over spilled milk. And ignoring history is seen as forward thinking. So it's like, why waste time on the past over which you have no control, that you cannot change, when there is a future ahead of you that you can change? My answer to that question is this: the future is uncertain. But one thing we do know about the future is that whatever it will be built on the past. Any person who attempts to secure a future without consulting the past is not serious about the future at all. All that is happening now and all that will ever happen are rooted in what has happened. The future cannot be disconnected from the past. It is like the brain and the body. No, I'm not suggesting that we drop everything and focus on history. I don't want what I'm saying to be taken out of context. What I am saying is that we don't pay half as much attention to history as we ought to. Without a rounded knowledge of our history, we will be trapped in a kind of trance, a sleepwalk. Yes, you're moving. Yes, you're walking. But you're sleeping. You're unconscious. How awake and alert we are is directly related to how much of our history we know and grasp. In the words of Marcus Garvey, a people without a knowledge of their past history, origin and culture is like a tree without root. Weak. A black man without a good grasp of his history is like a Christian without a good grasp of his Bible. Very easy to manipulate. Very easy to lead astray. Imagine you inherit a piece of land, but you never took the time to walk the entire property, to know where the boundaries are. You have never looked at the title for yourself. You have relied on others to tell you about your own inheritance. If the people that are telling you don't mean you well, they can tell you anything, and you will believe them because you don't know. You could be sitting on 100 acres of fertile land, but behave like a squatter or a pauper, because those who took the time to study the paperwork and survey your property tell you that it is only 20 acres, hardly good for anything, that the land is infertile and full of rocks and swamps and snakes. It is because we were unfamiliar with history why they could look at the black man, the original man, with the longest history, and tell him that he had no history. It is because of our unfamiliar with history why they could look at Africa, who gave the concept of God and divinity and spirituality to the world, and tell us that we were heathens and pagans, and we didn't know God before the Christian missionaries went to Africa. It is because of our unfamiliarity with history why they could tell the black man, the first man to stand on his feet, the first man to speak, the first man to write, the first man to decode the cosmos, decode the heavenly constellations, the first man that came up with the zodiac, the first to build a civilization. It is because of our unfamiliarity with history why they could tell us that we had no civilization before they invaded our continent. It is because of our unfamiliarity with history why they could tell us, who contributed arguably the most, that he contributed nothing to the advancement of the world, that we were savages, that we sold each other into slavery. So their enslavement of our people and their theft of our resources was a gift. Their invading us was a gift. Their enslavement of us was a gift. So we should be grateful. We should be happy. Because out of the greatest human tragedy in history, the most egregious crime against humanity ever recorded in history, the transatlantic slave trade, out of that, we, the formerly quote-unquote backward people, were made civilized. All these things are false. But if you don't know your history, you will believe and walk with your head down, your shoulders slumped, looking hopeless, docile. You'll walk apologetic, feeling grateful for crumbs. You don't know what your ancestors achieved in the past, so you don't know what you can achieve. You don't know what you can do. Knowing these things is what it means to know yourself, to know your history, to know your roots. It is our history that tells us what we are capable of. No man can convince a Jamaican that he can't be anything great, a great thinker, a great leader, or anything. Because as tiny as this country is on the map, we have a history of outdoing ourselves in many fields, dominating the world in athletics and music especially. Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican, and we know that. So when we step out on the world stage, we are not shy. We are not in any doubt. We are very sure of ourselves. No man on earth can tell the Asian people that they cannot help themselves if they know their history. Haiti is the first and only country in the world where slaves overthrew their quote-unquote masters, chased them out of the country, and declared themselves free and independent. That is what Haiti is capable of. And they can only know that if they know their history. And again, I'm going to repeat myself. I am not saying that we should drop everything and focus solely on history. I am saying that any person who wishes to change the fortunes of the race must first familiarize himself or herself with our history. As told by the voices of black scholars and black historians, I must put in that part. In Jamaica, I can't say for any other country, but in Jamaica, any field of study, any profession that you want to pursue, language and mathematics are a must. Now, for the purposes of black survival, black unity, and black elevation, black history is a must. It is pivotal. The only way that the black man can know his enemies and their tactics is to consult with history. History is as important to us as mirrors are to a driver. We look ahead to where we are going through the windscreen, which is the future. But it is your rearview mirror that tells you if you're being followed. Before you stop or make a turn, before you switch lanes or overtake, you must consult with your mirrors. Of course, your main focus is where you're going. That is true. But there are things behind you that can literally write you off. And you can only know by looking into your mirror, into your history in this case. Black people, know thyself. Find out about your past. Buy books. Go on YouTube and look for lectures from people like John N. Clark, Joseph Benyakannon, Chancellor Williams, Ivan Van Sertima, Anthony Browder, Robin Williams, Ronoko Rashidi, Ashra Kwesi, and these guys. And give some food to your African brain. I'm going to leave it here for this one. I just wanted to take a break from what I'm doing and just point out that part, because I realize that some people, they are not convinced of how important Black history is. Remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications so you can be notified when I upload a new video. As usual, I want you to share the videos and leave me a comment in the comment section. Until the next one, always remember to love Black people. Remember to care for each other. Let's make it Black culture.